What's up, guys? It's Gabriel here, and welcome to, it's been long awaited, but my TBU draft analysis video. Just basically going to go through the draft we did for the Battle Union. If you don't know what that is, there will be links all over the place for the actual channel itself. It's a league that myself and a few other YouTubers, some top class ones, are part of. It's a draft league, such as like the GBA and things like that. But you know, it's our own unique one that we're trying to take further forward. We did have a live draft. It was last Friday, and it's the first draft that I've ever taken part in, which, to be fair, you guys might have noticed if you were keen to the live stream. If you did, thank you so much for attending. It was a bloody lovely time with some lovely people. But even so, I actually managed to get quite a lot of the pokes I wanted. I wasn't sniped too much like a lot of the people were. Like Awesome was sniped quite badly because he was in like a bad position. Basically, the way the draft was working was that we had a point allocation of 1,400 points. Each Pokemon had a rank assigned to them, and that rank had a point value, such as, for example, S rank Pokemon, like some proper OU Pokemon, as you can imagine, were 120 points each. And you had to have one Pokemon from each rank down to E. So it went from S plus to E. You weren't required to have an S plus though. It was S to E, and then there was like F Pokemon and Y Pokemon, ones that you wouldn't really see that often. But they gave you the chance. It was 13 Pokemon in total we had to pick. 3 of those would be benched, 1 of them had to be a Mega. It was a very, very, very well organised draft from Fredomian and from Awesome, so well done, guys, you did a fantastic job. And you know what, let's actually get into the team that I managed to draft. There will be some old favourites in here, as you'll see, some ones that you've seen me use before because I love them and know how to use them. But the very first Pokemon I picked, and this was because I had the idea of the Mega I wanted to use in mind from the start, and this Pokemon kind of works really well with it, and that was Heatran. And this Pokemon, we all know it's a powerhouse. At the end of the day, it's all my Pokemon, I'm going to say this for each of them, are pretty damn versatile in what it can do. It has the surprise factor because there are so many sets it could run. It could be offensive, it could be defensive. It's got a good enough moveset in my opinion. But it does of course have a 4 times weakness to Earth. That's like a bit of a con of it, to be fair, and you'll see throughout this team I kind of probably picked a bit too many 4 times weaknesses, but I guess the Pokemon I love have that, so you know what, that's going to happen. But we had the Heatran. It's a good defensive core if I want it to be. It can be a surprise attacker in other situations. But of course, it gets access, say, defensively to like Toxic, to Raw, to Stealth Rocks. It can be that dick of a Pokemon if I need it to. Obviously, it depends who I'm against. It's awesome. Oh, sorry. You know, I could just actually bring what I want. The next Pokemon, though, this I will just say at this point now, I was 5th choice out of the 12, and it's a snake draft, so it goes from 1 to 12, 12 to 1. So I was in a quite bad position for Pokemon I wanted. So I already knew before this I wanted to draft quite low tier Pokemon, or Pokemon that may be underused, so that I have more of a chance to guarantee a structured team that I planned for. And I'm pretty sure only one Pokemon was like a bit random and unplanned. Heatran was my first pick. It was from the offset before I even chose my before I even got to the draft. I knew I was picking Heatran, and I was damn happy to pick that up first turn. I mean, passed up some good choices, like just before me was Greninja, Aegislash, Keldeo, Victini, and then Rotom-Wash straight after me as well. So you can imagine like the type of Pokemon that were picked up pretty damn early. Awesome picking up that of Holandorus incarnate, but you know, of course he did, because he's a good battler and he knows what good Pokemon are. But my second pick was the little powerful bunny choice banded attacker that we all know and love. Doesn't have to be choice band, and that's a Azumarill. Now this thing's probably a little bit less versatile than Heatran. It comes with a few different sets, but most of the time it's just going to be a physical attacker. Its typings are pretty damn mediocre at best. It has no 4 times weaknesses, but then again it has a few weaknesses because of the water weakness, and then Fairy not really balancing that out. And then Steel is the only thing becomes neutral because of the water typing, really. But even so, this thing does have a little bit of a surprise factor because it could be choice banded, it could be defensive, and it could of course be that ever great Ballydrum set, which is the I don't know how to describe it, but you know, it's like it's a proper gung-ho approach, isn't it? You know, it's a decent Pokemon that I've used a hell of a lot throughout my time battling, and it's one that I've always enjoyed using, and that's, I think, a very important thing. And I also did want to make sure I got like a proper S-rank Pokemon that I know people would be a little bit intimidated and afraid of, and I feel like this was a good choice for me. So of course, because as well, before I started this draft, I was told go offensives to start with, and I knew my Heatran was the first thing I was picking up. And I know it can be offensive, can be defensive, but it isn't a gung-ho attacker. And I thought, you know what, I kind of probably need to pick up that strength early on to make sure that I have good attackers, and that's why the Azumarill was my second pick. Originally, in my draft order, it was actually my fourth pick, but I also thought, you know what, I'm probably not going to get that, so it's worth picking it up now rather than later, because someone, I reckon, would have actually snapped that up. My third pick, and this is probably the most controversial one out of all these, was actually Escavalier. Now, to put that in perspective, this was picked up above Suicune as a defensive Pokemon. I'm looking at a list now. Galuxray, awesome Pokemon. It's picked up before Nidoking. It was picked up before freaking Goodra. This was picked up so goddamn early, and I understand that, but I know there are some big fans of Escavalier in our draft league. I knew that. Like, I know Xenon's a fan of it. I'm pretty sure, I think Fredomian said he was looking to try and take it, and I wanted to make a play for it early on, because if there is any Pokemon in this whole world that I know and that I've got creative set ideas for, and that I know how to use, and I know its limitations, I know its stats, I know what it can take, it's Escavalier. I know that Pokemon. And as far as comfort, I was thinking, you know what, get this early, get it now, and I've got my perfect start, because this was always going to be third pick. I was always picking this up early, so I just thought, you know what, stick with the script I've got written for my draft and go with it. So I picked that up. Of course, it's got a multitude of things. You will notice throughout this draft little analysis as well, I'm not going to go through too many sets, because to be completely honest with you, as dickish as it may be, I don't want to give away too much, because I already feel like I'm at a handicap, because I'm not the greatest of battlers, so I want to make sure I have at least a little bit of surprise. But we all know it's basic stuff, like it can have Assault Vest, it learns Iron Head, Mega Horn, it gets Knockoff. Standard, really, those three attacks are, they're pretty damn good. But there are some little gems that I think people forget within his moveset, and a few different tweaks of his stats and things. It's a damn versatile Pokemon that I'm happy and excited to use. The next Pokemon on the list is one that I've been using recently for my Wi-Fi battles, and to be completely honest, I've fallen in love with it a lot. It's been so goddamn good when I've played it a lot on Showdown, and I've become quite used to it. Now, I wouldn't say I've tried too many sets, but its base set that I've used is so good, and that is the ultra defensive Chestnut. Now this 6th gen starter, it's so good, so I wouldn't call it completely versatile, but it does have a good range of options, but it definitely is good at everything it does. Like, you know, I'm not gonna bring this as a special attacker. Oh god, I've revealed that. I'm not, because it's not gonna work as well. But the other sets for it, so good, and I've got some pretty good ideas for this actually, so I'm pretty excited to actually be bringing that. And when coming in to pick this, I was thinking, you know what, I want fire, water, grass to start with. I do want to get a core in that. Like, even if it's throughout my entire draft, I at least want one fire, one water, one grass, because you know what, it's a core that works. We all know that. So I was pretty chuffed to pick this up quite early as well. We've all seen how, like Miguel, let's say, for instance, in the 4th season of the GBA, has used Chestnut to his, and he's made it look awesome. Now, I'm not Miguel, but at the same time, that guy knows how to play Pokemon. If he's picked it for his team, you know what, that's not a bad pick for me. This was originally the second pick I had. It went Heatran, Chestnut, Escavalier, Azumarill. Screen's gone off again, so the light's wrong. Oh, I hate it when it does that. So, of course, it was my second pick, sorry, but you know what? It was still around at the 4th one, thought I can pick this up now. I'll get out of the way. Bearing in mind as well that this was actually taken. Was it taken after or before? Let me think. 1, 2, 3, 4. It was taken. Escavalier was taken above Talonflame, but this was taken just after Talonflame. And I know this has a 4 times weakness to fine, but even so, I still wanted to pick it up. My next pick. Now this is the one where I went off my schedule and went completely random with what I was actually going to get. And that was because quite early on, I was sniped a little bit. Now I needed a defogger on my team. I need something with rapid spin or defog, because you cannot bring something that doesn't have it. Now originally that slot was going to be taken by Zapdos, because that thing is absolutely fucking awesome. But Awesome picked that up quite damn early, so you know what, I already knew I had to change my tactics. But after seeing Talonflame, I was like, okay, I need something that's going to hit that quite well. My 2 options at that point were going to be Tyranitar or Gliscor, because they were both still around. I know Gliscor can take hits from a Talonflame. I know it can hit back. Like, it can KO it, it can one-hit KO it perfectly fine. It has defog, and it's just a goddamn pain of a Pokemon for most people to deal with. And when it got to this point, the 5th pick, I thought, this thing's still around, you know what? I'm going to take it. Gligar was on my reserve list for Pokemon to pick up. I knew that. I thought, I kind of want to get that at some point, but it wasn't a guarantee. I was just going to say, if there was anything, if it was still around and I'd been sniped, I'd probably pick up a Gligar. But then when this was around and the pick came up for it, I was like, you know what? Yes, I'm taking that. That is something I have to get. So I took it, I snapped it up. This thing, strangely, is actually quite versatile. It does have many sets. As much as it has like one big set that's used in OU, it's versatile. And again, versatility is key with this. You want things that pack a punch, that can take a hit, and that are versatile. And that was my solid thought process throughout the entirety of this. And if you look at all my Pokemon so far, Heatran can take a hit. Azumarill, surprisingly, with Thick Fat especially, can take a hit. Escavalier can live so much with one weakness. I mean, it's 4 times, but with one weakness. Chestnut can hit it all day. Gliscor can take the hits all day long. You can see a pattern coming there. Defensive, good, bulky Pokemon that can hit back and that have so many options for moves to choose. Gliscor is one of them, and he's pretty damn fast as well. If you look at the Pokemon else I've brought with Escavalier, Azumarill, Chestnut, not too fast Pokemon. I wanted to try and pick up the speed from this point on, and Gliscor was a good first choice for that process. After that, it comes to my 6th choice. Now this again was strangely my 6th pick. I already knew I wanted this on my team, and I'll explain the reasons why as it comes up to it. And that is Espeon. I know I want an Eon. Have to have an Eevee evolution because Eevee evolutions are so goddamn good. Sylveon was taken first pick by Fredomian. I wasn't getting that, even though that wasn't on my list, but it was on my reserve list again because I wanted to pack Draining Kiss, Big Root. But is it Big Root? It might be that, but anyway, it would have been sick. But Espeon was still around. Now I've used Espeon before. It brought me some surprising power against Anima in our only ever battle, and I felt like such a dick for using it because it took ages to get the battle, and then it surprised her, and yeah, I felt like I brought an OU team, she didn't, you know, so I reckon she might be out for blood with me, but I thought, you know what, I have to pick that up because it is going to be sick. It is an awesome Pokemon that I want to make the most of having. Now again, that thing can be defensive. We all know what it can do. We all know it's got Magic Bounce. We all know it can hit screens, and we all know it can pack a damn punch. So once again, this gives me real good attacking presence, fast attacking presence, as well as defensive options and versatile sets to use. Again, you can see a theme running out for this entire team there. It also balances out my team because at the moment I have like no Pokemon weak to Dark, which is perfectly fine. No Pokemon weak to Ghost. Yeah, I've balanced out quite well. You will notice though, of course, just going back to the other Pokemon, I do have 4 times weaknesses in those first 5 Pokemon. I didn't even click with this until after it was done. I'm not too worried about it, but at the same time, that's pretty big. It just means I'm going to have to really play well, and my opponents are going to have to think well of what hidden power to bring. You know, that's pretty simple. So Espeon was my 6th choice, and couldn't be happier, to be honest, with actually having it. It is an absolute sick Pokemon to have. The next Pokemon on the list, and this does kind of give me a bit of a double weakness across the board, and that is Doublade. I've used Doublade. At this point, I can't remember the other Pokemon I was thinking about having, but it was a choice between Doublade and something else. I was kind of thinking, do I want to pick this Pokemon? It's the one I took the most time on. Now, I did have it written down and wanted Doublade at some point. I think he was actually the 8th pick, but I kind of thought, you know what, let's get out of the way, let's get him now. Reason being was I wanted that rapid spin. What's the word? It's a spin blocker. Thank you. I wanted that spin blocker, and I know Doublade is fucking powerful and can take a hit. Can take defensive hits better than a lot of mons. So I thought, I'm gonna have a fire weakness, which sucks. I'm gonna have a dark weakness in that, which sucks. Earth weakness, which sucks. But it does give me options, and that's at the end of the day what I always like to have. It means I can bring it, and I can do things with it. It can be a shock, and it means that you guys in the TBU will have to make decisions and think about what Pokemon are going to bring. Because that is a Pokemon that shouldn't be sitting on anyone's bench. It is a fucking good Pokemon. It's not on the bench, but you know what I mean. It shouldn't be. It should be in most sixes, to be fair. I personally believe if you've got a decent team of this sort of format where you're ranging in, when you're ranging in ranks and things like that, Doublade is a fucking good Pokemon to have. It's like your D or C or E or whatever. I can't remember what it was. I think it was D actually. I think it was my only D at this point, but I needed to pick a D up. Needed to pick the D. I'm such a smooth guy. But yeah, you all know what it does, and that's less versatile than most of the mons, but it's still pretty fucking good. Hashtag special Doublade. Not gonna happen. The next Pokemon in the list, and this was one I knew I wanted from the start, but I changed my mind on the night and didn't get the Pokemon I wanted. It was literally taken just before, 3 picks before, and that's Rotom Heat. Now, if you've checked out my recent UU battles, you've seen me use and fucking abuse and love Heliolisk. That thing is so fast. Obviously it's a switcher. It has Surf. It's so goddamn good. That stab hyper voice. Oh, amazing. And it was taken by none other than the person who has it as the mascot, Anima, who I was livid. At that point I thought, if I'd picked up one turn earlier, it would have been mine. I would have had it, and then I probably could have picked up Doublade anyway. I was gutted, absolutely gutted. So I had to find and go to my original electric type, and that was Rotom Heat. Now, of course, Aptos was my very, very original, but I already knew early on that I wasn't getting that, of course. And it was Rotom Heat. Now, Rotom Heat is amazing. It does give me a levitate, like another flyer, basically, another levitator, which means that my it gives me another earthquake immunity, especially with that heat running around. That does help. But to be fair, most of this was me being damn gutted about not getting Heliolisk. It's still amazing. It's still versatile. We all know what Rotoms can do. We've seen Rotom Wash sit on the top of OU for so long, or sit, near the top of most used Pokemon, because 1, it's versatile, and 2, it is fucking good at what it does. Now, Heatran's never hit those heights because, of course, it has more weaknesses. But at the same time, this thing does a job. It is damn good. You can't go wrong with it. It's fucking good. And to be fair, I knew I was happy to pick it up, even though I was a bit gutted I didn't get Heliolisk. This thing made and rounded out my team quite well. Again, it doesn't give me many, like, loads of conflicting weaknesses. It's just another good Pokemon. The next Pokemon, this is something that and I will say I've never actually used this, and that's Uxie. Now, I've never used Uxie before, but I've seen it in the PPL. I've watched more of it recently anyway, and that thing's good. I know it's NU, but that thing's versatile, and it is good. I mean, it's strong. It knows what it's doing. It is a fucking good Pokemon, and I knew I wanted to pick something else that at least had damn good special defense to make sure I had like a good balance throughout the team. And this was like this was the perfect mon for me. I thought, you know what, let's get Uxie. This gives me so much versatility, and it gives me so many options within the team that it's It's going to be good, and there's so many things that I can actually do with it, and I've got some fucking crazy ideas, I'm not going to lie, about how I'm going to use it, but you're going to have to wait and see and check out my battles to actually see that. But one thing I will say for certain, that thing will be coming at some point throughout the week, without a doubt, because I love that little Pokemon. Even though, if you watch my Storm Silver Nuzlocke, even though this thing did not want to come to my team, I finally grabbed you, Roxy. Finally grabbed you. I don't know what I had to do to get you. Because putting you asleep 12 times didn't do anything. Sorry, getting angry, it's getting salty, but it's true. And there goes my screen again. I need to keep on top of that, because otherwise the lights go off and it looks all fucking weird. Thank you. But even so, yeah, I was pretty damn chuffed to actually pick that up. This moves on to the next thing. These were my first 9 Pokemon. We already knew in the draft order that we were going to go 9 Pokemon, 10th Pokemon would be Mega, and then we'd do the 3 bench. So that's why I'm telling you it in this order. I will just say as well, basically up to that point, I actually did have all the Pokemon I wanted except for Conkeldurr, which I was kind of trying to find room for, but wasn't ever sure for picking up. Because Conkeldurr was taken quite early on, I do believe. Let me have a little look over it. I can't see it anywhere, but I know Conkeldurr was taken up moderately early on. And that thing's, it's a damn good Pokemon. I just kind of wanted to pick it up at some point, but didn't get the chance, and that sucks. But it's my biggest regret, other than Heliolisk, is not getting Conkeldurr throughout this entire thing. But anyway, we're moving on. Now, I knew when I started this up, I knew that when I was thinking about my Mega, that it was going to be very difficult to get the Mega I want, because of the way the snaking worked for the draft. It meant that Sizzawesome at the bottom on number 12 got first Mega pick. And that means there was 7 Megas gone before it came to mine, right? 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Yeah. Fucking hell, why is it taking so long? Anyway, yeah. Jesus. But it basically, I got a long list of people that were picking Megas before me, and this thing is nothing to be... You want... This is a damn strong Mega to have. Now, the first Megas, I'll give them you in order what we're taking, were Sizzle. Not Sizzle, sorry. Mega Lopunny. Just brace yourself for this one. Mega Ordino. Yes, that's right. Mega Ordino was second Mega pick. Eric, Ashton Akai, if you can make that work, fair enough. Then there was Mega Charizard X, Mega Pinsir, Mega Manectric, Mega Mawile, which wasn't actually picked, it was Mega Heracross? No. It was some other Mega that I can't remember. Then Mega Sceptile, then it was my pick for Mega Altaria. Yes! I was so happy to get it because, like I said, I was thinking I wanted Altaria because of the Mega Heatran works with it really well. And I already had my plans for how to make teams around that Pokemon. I've used it a lot recently, and again, it is the master, not master, but it's fucking good at versatility. So many things it can do, so many sets it can bring. It can be special, it can be physical, it can be physically defensive, it can be special defensive. That thing is an absolute beast, and I was chuffed to pick up. I was surprised it wasn't taken before it. But seeing the Megas that went, you know what, it's understandable, people wanted to balance out their teams and go for a lower costed Mega and things like that, but I was like, no, I'm splashing out on one of the top ranked Megas, and that was Mega Altaria, it was a fly, sorry. And Xenon was not happy because he was the last Mega pick, and he was like, oh, that's my Mega he was going to get, so yeah, I was kind of chuffed that at least someone else I knew definitely wanted it, because it meant that it wasn't a bad pick on my part. And I'm pretty sure I picked up a few little fans in the stream for picking up Altaria, because I get it, it's a top class Pokemon that people like. Versatile, good, it's a fairy immunity, which is dragon immunity, sorry, which is awesome. And it was just a damn good Pokemon to pick up. I was so happy about it. Following that, not by me, Mega Pidgeot was picked up, which was another one of my choices. Like, my list of Megas were Mega Altaria, followed by Mega Slowbro, followed by Mega Medicham, followed by Mega Pidgeot. Those were my 4 Megas that I was originally going to think about having, and think about teams that could kind of work around them. And to be completely honest, I'm glad there was no Mega Slowbro. That did not get drafted at all, and that is awesome, because that thing is hard to deal with. But I went for Mega Altaria. There was Mega Pidgeot that went. Mega Heracross was swapped for Mega Venusaur by Enzo. Mega Medicham then finally went, and then Xenon, who I think he went a little bit mad because he didn't get his Altaria, maybe. And he chose a Mega that I can't remember right now, but he did trade it off, and he's now got Mega Sizzle, which is a damn fine pick. I can't believe Sizzlesome did that to his favourite Pokemon. Just didn't draft it at all. I will just say, before, you know that list of Pokemon I've just given? Before most of those Pokemon, before Espeon, Latios, I'm trying to look through more, but Mr. Mime got drafted before them, just saying. Yeah, that happened. That really happened. First on the bench, now I was aware of a few Pokemon that were still hanging around at this point. Now that was Tyranitar. Hydreigon was close, but that got picked up just a bit before Goodra. Now those two Pokemon, I was like, I need one of those on my bench. If only to take them away from anyone else that wants to use them. And I went for Goodra because that's a Pokemon that is difficult to deal with. And I thought, yeah, going to be a good Pokemon to have on my team. Drafted Goodra and got that as my first slot. Now I'm not sure when I'm going to bring it because of course it's the drafting, it's the bench system, which means I have to trade out a Pokemon for it out of my top 9. And then I can only do that 6 or 4 times in the season. I believe it's 6. Can't remember. Someone will tell me at some point. But it's a limited number of times in the season, so I have to be very good about judging how that's going to work. So Goodra was a damn fine option. It is bulky as fuck and it packs a punch. That thing is one of the most difficult Pokemon just to kill. It really is. So it's damn fine to get that out of everyone else's way to snipe that, and to take it for myself means, you know what, I've got a damn fine backup Pokemon on the bench. Assault Vest, whack it on there, it's awesome. Of course it does other things as well. The next Pokemon I originally picked up, because I've traded one Pokemon away, was Donphan, because I knew I wanted another spinner, and Donphan gets priority Ice Shard. Awesome. Awesome. Absolutely killer Pokemon. But on hindsight, I did notice, you know, I've got an ice weakness, like some Pokemon that are weak to ice at least anyway, and I thought, kind of want to get rid of that, especially with the Gliscor being around. So, I traded that off and got myself the feisty little Ambipom, who Shady has been using really well in the GBA. It's come out firing, and that thing, it has many different moves it can use. Basically, it's a fast physical attacker, and we know that. Has different items it can use, but it's good. And I wanted one that had it. I wanted a fast U-turner at the end of the day, at least as a backup for something to use. And this was still available. It was cheap, and I couldn't pass up the opportunity of getting it. So Ambipom was the next Pokemon that was chosen. Now, the final Pokemon was chosen in the draft, and I always knew I was going to pick this up if it was still lingering around, because I wanted to make sure I definitely had another fighting type, and that I had definitely had Rapid Spin and versatility and special defense. Hitmontop is the final Pokemon, and it hits and checks all of those boxes. It gets access to Rapid Spin, to Toxic, to Fake Out, to Close Combat. It gets so many good little attacks, and it can be so many things. It doesn't have to be a specially defensive wall, it doesn't have to be a spinner. There are options for it, but it's versatile. Now I'll say it again, versatility. That's my key to this whole thing. So that's what I wanted. I wanted people to keep them guessing on what I was going to bring, and I'm pretty sure I've kind of nailed that a little bit. Hitmontop does of course get that fighting type. It is fighting type, which we all know is damn good to have. To have a stab close combat is always good on your team, always. To have stab drain punch is always good on your team. It's something which you can't go wrong with. And to be honest guys, that's kind of me going to wrap up my draft analysis. Now I'm excited to bring this team. I've got so many ideas throughout the entire 13 Pokemon, out of the top 10 even, of so many builds and sets and teams I can make to actually bring to this. And I've tried a few out in Showdown and it's going really well. I'm kind of hyped and just looking forward to my first battle. I'm gonna have a quick little look who my first battle's against actually, just whilst you're here. Now my first battle is against the Kentucky Squirtacular with the Kentucky I'll get this in a minute. I'm just gonna take the time. Just give me. Yeah, that's something that's working. Okay. Josh with the Kentucky Kecleons. I'm happy because I like Squirtacular. He's a top guy and it's going to be at the very least fun, but his team, it's scary. He picked up Shaman. I love Shaman. He picked up Mew as his first pick. Now that was when I originally started a draft idea, Mew was the first Pokemon I put on my list. It was. but I knew that was going to get sniped early, and I was shocked it came after me, but I already had my draft pick sorted, so I didn't want to break that to pick up a Mew. But that Pokemon is damn good. It's not a shock to me that it got first picked by him, because it is awesome. And you know what? I'm going to have to properly think about what to do against that Pokemon. The rest of his team, yeah, it's scary. And I cannot wait to get started with that. I'm coming for you, TBU. Probably going to get that bottom place. Because Mr. Mime's probably going to own me from Jedi, and then I'll cry and come last. But you know what? I'll do it in style, and I'll do it with some pretty sweet graphics, I do believe, like this one. It's one of my favourite graphics I've ever made, and I hope you like it too. But anyway, guys, I'm waffling on. What I want you to do for me now, because if you made it this far, it's just to pay homage to you, is leave your comment just down below and let me know what you think of my draft. Let me know what you think I should have drafted. Let me know if the teams for the other people as well, what you think are going to be really good against me. But all in all, just let me know what you think. So I want your input, because this is something which I'm doing for my own enjoyment, because I think, but also because I think you guys are going to really get into it and really enjoy it. And I hope I'm correct on that, and I hope you really will like it and you'll enjoy my commentary and my battles, my layouts, my Pokemon. That's at the end of the day sort of what I'm doing it for. Anyway, guys, have yourselves a damn fine day, and thank you so much for watching. I'm loving life, of course. I hope you are too. I'll see you next time.